meal we're making here today, Alice. We've got a little bit of our prep work done in advance. Got our herbs ready. Which one is this one?
Rosemary.
That's right. Good nose. Good nose. And this one here?
Thyme.
Exactly. Yes. And we've got some fresh apples. Where did we get those apples? From a local farmer? Yes. Yes. And the butternut squash we're going to use in our soup, I actually bought on my way home from St. Philip's, Milford in Prince Edward County. So we're using lots of local produce in order to make this soup, and I think it's going to be a delicious meal. What do you think?
Yes.
And this is one of your favorite meals, isn't it? You and I are together in loving our soup and a sandwich for a meal, right from the time you were little. Almost time to start, and welcome to those who might drop in a little early. We're going to start in about a minute and a half. Most of our audience actually watches this after the 4 o'clock time. I guess 4 o'clock was a perfect time in my schedule, but it didn't work all that well in the schedules of other people. So most of our audience watches at a later time. But I think it's now 4 o'clock, so we're going to begin. And the meal that we're going to make this evening is a lovely butternut squash soup. And then as a sandwich to go on the side, what are we going to make, Alice? What are we using?
I'm going to use Brie and
What's that mean?
ham.
Ham, yes. And then to make it just a little bit extra special, what are we putting in those sandwiches along with the Brie and the ham?
Apples.
Apples. I'll just do a little introduction. Last week I talked about Alice, who's my biggest fan. Well, this is Alice. And I'm at her house today, and so she's going to join us in cooking. We're going to start by making the soup. Now, I've done a lot of the prep work ahead of time because you have to have the butternut squash completely cooked and the carrots and the onions, and then you have to liquefy them in a blender, and in the interests of time, I've done all that ahead of time. But I used one whole small butternut squash, about a pound of carrots peeled, and a whole yellow onion, which first we sauteed to get them nice and translucent. Then we added them into the pressure cooker along with the butternut squash and the carrots. We cooked them in the pressure cooker for about 10 minutes, and then we took them, put them into the blender, and liquefied them. So what we have here is, I guess you can't really see it because of the tap on the sink in front of us, but a nice paste of the butternut squash, carrots, and onions. So I'm going to ask my lovely assistant if she can add in vegetable broth, about 3 cups. We already put 1 cup into the pressure cooker in order to cook the butternut squash. Just pour it right in, Alice. No use standing on ceremony. Then I'm going to turn this on, turn the temperature up a bit, about 355 degrees, and I'm going to add a cup of heavy cream next. And I'm going to leave it to Alice to start stirring that up. Now, we're going to add in some chopped fresh rosemary and some chopped fresh thyme. About a tablespoon of each. Alice, you can start to really stir that up now. and just a pinch of salt. Now, while Alice keeps that from burning to the bottom, I'm going to, first of all, start to prepare the sandwich, and secondly, take the opportunity to talk about the theological reflection for this week in Lent and the particular symbol that I've chosen for today. So we're going to make a Brie ham and apple panini. But if you don't have a panini press, please feel free to just make a regular grilled sandwich of this in a flat frying pan, and it will taste every bit as good. This week I just happen to have a panini press at my disposal, so I'm gonna do it that way. One side buttered. Now, Alice says she likes lots of butter on her bread, but she says her sister Eva loves it way more. You've got to put lots of butter on if Eva's going to eat the sandwich. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take this and we're going to put a nice bit of ham on it. And then we're going to put a couple slices. Oh boy. These are stuck together. A couple nice slices of Brie cheese. And finally, a couple slices of apple. Then we'll put the top on our sandwich. Put it in our panini press and close it down. So the symbol that I've chosen for this week is right here in front of me. You likely notice I almost always have a few flowers somewhere in the kitchen. I love to give my wife flowers. I love to see flowers that look so happy. But I've chosen these orchid irises this week. An iris, when it fully opens, it's called a fleur de lis in French, is a Christian symbol because when it opens, looking at it from over top, it forms a cross. But not a stark, harsh cross, a beautiful cross, purple with a lovely yellow center. And it made me think back once again to the reflection that I made on the gospel on Sunday. Moses with the people out in the wilderness, and the people rebel against God, and God allows them to go their own way, allows them to head off into their own sinful direction, and suddenly the people find themselves in all manner of trouble with snakes in the camp and people dying. And the people cry out to God for help, and God says to Moses, I want you to make one of those poisonous serpents out of bronze and raise it up on a stick. And any person who will look to that serpent on the stick will be healed. They will live. And so the symbol of the people's sin also becomes the symbol of God's love and forgiveness and healing. And as I said on Sunday, the same is true of the cross. The cross is this weapon of great violence, where humanity looked on the love of God as exemplified in Jesus, and rather than loving in return, the world heaped on Jesus all the hatred and violence that they could possibly muster. But God, in God's infinite love, chose to take that symbol of human violence and turn it into the symbol of our redemption, forgiveness, and indeed as the symbol of God's incredible, undying love. As we come through these later days of Lent, as we move toward Holy Week, and finally toward Easter, we're reminded that that symbol of our sinfulness is also the symbol of just how much God loves us and forgives us. I think we have got a pretty wonderful looking sandwich here. We haven't quite got the soup up to temperature, but it's getting very close. And I think that my lovely assistant here is going to be happy to take a sandwich and a bowl of soup over to the table and enjoy it. I thank you very much. This one's been kind of a short presentation than we've had in the last 2 weeks, but God bless you for coming and being a part of it. As I keep having soup and a sandwich, one of my favorite dinners as part of Eat Simply so that others may simply eat. First of all, soup and a sandwich is a much less expensive meal than what I would usually serve to my family in the evening. And so I've saved at least $5, which I'm going to give to Lunch by George come Eastertide. But also, as Alice and I were saying just before this all began, we got the butternut squash from a farmer in Prince Edward County as I was leaving church one Sunday. And the apples, well, they're seconds from a local orchard, but they're delivered right here. The produce is local, it's wonderful, and it's considerably less expensive than when you buy the same things in the grocery store. And so I have $5, which will once again be added into the jar to assist with others eating come this Eastertide. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and God bless you. Yes, my beautiful assistant is saying goodbye to you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Good.
Very good.